take Niger Delta, for instance. The president made mention that efforts are on to clean up polluted lands. And this seemed to have been a repetitive narrative over the years. Have successive governments been, sincere? Have they continued, in the same light to achieving this plight?
Not at all. Like, I come from the Niger Delta, so I'm not here to speak theory, I'm here to speak practical. This is about the fourth year of the present administration. Fourth year counting into when you jumped on Ogoni land to flag up the cleanup. Till today, what we see with respect to the cleanup in Ogoni land is theory. And like I keep saying in this studio, the cleanup of Ogoni land, it's a cleanup, it's a metaphor. The whole of the Niger Delta land is polluted. Our fishes are gone, everything is gone. From Ogoni land to Focados to everywhere, it's dirty. And I heard the president talked about the diversification of oil. So I begin to ask questions like, number one, how do we talk about a diversification from oil, which is good to think about when they are spending billions of naira looking for oil in the Lake Chad region? That's number one. Number two, which is what is most important to me, how do we talk about a diversification from oil when we are not making any efforts, like you rightly put in your question, to clean up the Niger Delta to host other economic activities? There's nothing like that. How do we talk about a diversification of oil when we are not doing anything as the president's, nothing, as the president may have suggested in his speech, to build the capacity of the youths, not just in the Niger Delta, but specifically, let me say, the Niger Delta, to take up other trades in case we are moving from oil to other places? How do we talk about the diversification of oil when the educational institutions like the Krankoko University and others are not having the needed intervention? How do we talk about the diversification of oil when the feeding program, the school feeding program, it's nowhere in Ijoland? By that I mean from Arugbo up to Bayelsa to Eastern Obolo in Akwa Ibom State, we cannot see any. You understand? How do we talk about the diversification of oil when the infrastructure that is needed to hold the economy of the Niger Delta as we speak is not being supported in any way? Even when we have, as Niger Deltas and Niger Delta's governor, like Governor Dixon, has been able to come up with some model schools like the John National Academy that is housing about 1,000 students, free, feeding is free, tuition is free, medical's free. They have expatriates teaching that there is no form of support, not even our airports. Now, how do we talk about the diversification of the Niger Delta when the road to Brass, where there are fertilizing plants and other things, is still unattended to till today? How do we talk about a diversification when the road leading to Agay, that will lead to another seaport that will make the Niger Delta take advantage of the ocean economy, which is a mainstay of many economies in the world, is not being supported? How do we talk about this when even the airport that is being built in Bayelsa, not even the tarmac or anything is being supported? But you see, the president's speech today is fantastic, but it's fantastic to the extent that it can pass for showing a way forward with respect to our challenges and not with what we have attended to. But the sorry part of the speech is that how come we are making this speech after 4 years? These speeches are supposed to have been made before 4 years. Do you want to even go into the issue of corruption? It's a charade, you understand? You want to go into other aspects of the speech. You see, the whole speech, it's just painted and tainted with what is not sincere. You talk about you talked about the Not Too Young to Wrong Act.
Oh,
what are we talking about, the Not Too Young to Wrong Act? How many youths, even if can afford their tickets in any of the political parties, can say, okay, the INEC is so independent that with the little resources I have, I can climb on the stage, reel out my manifesto, reconcile it with who I am, and that the ballot is going to really speak and the ballot is going to be respected. How many? We can't be talking about that. We're talking about a stable naira today, which is not sincere. Stable at what? Stable at 362, which is miles departure from where you met it. And like you rightly said, stable at a time when the CBN is declaring that we may be going into
back into recession.
Back into recession. How do we talk about this? What are you that the president also talked about how we are being respected in the international community. How the international community that has recently described us as the third poorest nation, or the international community where the president, with due respect, insinuated in recent times,
you know,
that we are somehow lazy or gave credence to the fact that we are fantastically corrupt, or it is the international community that recently came together and described our elections, which is the crux of any democracy, as being intimidating, as being harassing, as being interfered, where CSOs are being chased. Listen to me, I am not here to suggest that any particular party should win an election. I am here to say that whoever wins an election process should be reflective of what the people think, so much that the good of Nigeria at every point in time is what is paramount. Let me tell you something. The return of President Buhari is not as important, even if it is important, as the progress of the country. And let me also say lastly, like the professor said, yes, we can have infrastructure. Yes, we can have every other thing that the political economy and the economy of this country can rely on. But let me tell you something. It is not just the infrastructure that writes an economy. What writes an economy is the value system, the attitudes, the belief, what you would generally derive as, because upon that, you can reel on anything. You can bring the whole infrastructure, because you can have the whole infrastructure like Syria. You can have the whole infrastructure like Iraq, Iran, and other places. Once you get the democratic value systems run, everything comes crumbling. That is why they say, you can build all you want to build, but if you don't build the mind, you have built nothing. Right. So what we need to build in this 58 years is a set of new value system. It's a set of new approach to it, including the fight for corruption. You don't need to adopt imperialistic tendencies.
Fight against corruption.
Yes, you need to bring approaches that are peculiar to this terrain, peculiar to this region, that will be beneficial to the. Maybe after now we can talk more about the strategies.
You have said so much. You have said so much. And it's really interesting. The point there is reasoning from different perspectives. Like we said earlier on, certainly Nigerians are going to view this, the president's statements from different perspectives. When you consider the fact that there are stakeholders, there are people who are involved who feel directly touched. For instance, you mentioned Leah Sharibu earlier on. When you talked
about foreign investments, how many FDI, foreign direct investments have we had in recent times?
All right.
No, look at it. You talked about the enabling environment.
There may be.
The indices are there. The indices are there. This is not rocket